moved on to a study about the future of small town newspapers. And here I learned about the hundreds of rural weekly newspapers who are struggling to survive in this kind of journalism crisis. And one of the things I kept hearing over and over and over again is, do we need a website? Or if we had a website, it was often like a static PDF. And this is where I came across folks telling me, hey, I'd love an internet connection. I'd love to promote my newspaper online, but I can't get the internet. The wheels start turning as an academic does. And then I secretly start chipping away at a project about the internet. And I thought originally I wanted to look at farming communication. And it turns out someone already wrote a book on that. And so then I realized that farming communication, actually part of this much larger conversation called rural broadband. And that's really what brought me in to rural broadband. So I started a road trip, and my hound dog, Tuna, and I, in 2018, drove 3,600 miles across the country, talking to folks in rural communities about broadband and about their stories around connectivity and about hopes and dreams and successes. And that became the kind of humanizing of broadband that became part of Farm Fresh Broadband. When the book was published, it got some good buzz, which was pretty cool. And folks started reaching out to me, emailing me, and sharing their stories of, again, of hopes and fears and dreams, and not just providers. Farm Fresh Broadband really I talked to a lot of providers, but these are just kind of everyday folks in communities across the country, our neighbors, who I think wanted to be heard, wanted to have their stories listened to and acknowledged, and kind of sometimes had their frustrations validated, right? As we know so much of what's going on in rural and remote Indigenous communities. And then, that kind of got me thinking about a book about stories. And as a policy scholar, one of the things that I've been finding in DC, if you go to any state house, is that we talk a lot about upload speeds and download speeds. We talk a lot about maps. We talk a lot about technology. But what we don't talk about is people. We have somehow managed to take the public out of public policy.
Yeah.
And so the thought process for this new book that I'm writing, which is called If These Maps Could Talk, Tales from the Digital Divide, is how do we put the public back into public policy? And I argue that we do this one story at a time.